Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Glove Lab podcast. We are here today with BKC Cooks, Mr. Brandon. He is on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much anywhere that he could ever want to be. He's there. So just go ahead and look him up, BKC Cooks. How are you today, Brandon?
I am well. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So for those of you who don't know, let's go ahead and have you introduce yourself to everyone. Tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got started.
Sure. My name is Brandon Carpenter, and my YouTube channel is BKC Cooks. And BKC Cooks across all the socials, like you mentioned. I'm easy to find. So I got started on YouTube I'm a retired firefighter. I did that for 20 years. And before that, I was a professional cook, went to culinary school, that whole route. But once I retired, I started the YouTube channel really as a way to kind of have a depository of my knowledge, my recipes, things like that, so that my kids could look them up well into the future. My mom was a fantastic cook, and I lost her many years ago. And one of the things I regretted is she was one of those typical fantastic home cooks who just cooked from memory, didn't write anything down, and even the things she did write down, people can give you a recipe, but their technique, they have a little thing, flick of the wrist, there's always something that someone does. And so I figured, well, with YouTube, I can document everything. My little tricks and tips would really come across. So that's how I got started. And I posted my first video. And an old friend from work is like, hey, man, I see what you're doing. It looks good. Do another one. And I was like, okay. And that led to another and another. And I looked up one day and I had a bunch of subscribers, and YouTube's like, hey, we want to pay you. And I'm like, sure, I don't have a problem with that. And so, it's been a cool journey so far. I'm really just in the beginnings of it, and I learn a lot every day. It's really amazing what media is doing now, and what content creators are doing, and just seeing the relationships they have with companies, and really the impact that content creators have. It's been pretty interesting.
Yeah. I think that's really wholesome, having a way for your kids to learn that, because I relate to the whole no one wrote that down a lot. My grandmother is Italian, and she speaks primarily English, but it's always been funny to me because she has a recipe book, like the old cards in a tin pretty much. And she has a bunch of recipes that are marked the good one and the bad one.
So what makes them bad or good?
We don't know. And we always ask her, we're like, well, what's the difference? She goes, oh, well, honestly, I really don't know. I think my mom actually wrote that one, and nobody knows which one was actually what we were supposed to do. Or my mom's trying to teach me how to make something else. And I was looking at her, I was like, so I think it was scalloped potatoes or something like that you can put in the oven. And I was like, oh, well, how'd you, figure out how to do that? Or what's like the recipe? And she goes, oh, well, it's better if I come over to your house. And I was like, okay. And she comes over and she goes, no, you just have to eyeball the whole thing. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
There has to be some kind of measurement.
And, for the uninitiated, I realized quickly, people do need measurements. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm that type of cook, even though I went to culinary school and everything. Cooking at home is a lot different than cooking for service in a restaurant or any type of professional setting. And so, for the uninitiated, you want as many instructions and visuals as possible. It's one thing that I will say with technology and all of the platforms available, there's no excuse anymore. Like, figure it out, write it out. And don't get me wrong, recipe documentation, recipe development, whatever you want to call it, it's not an easy thing, especially when you've cooked something all of your life and you just, okay, I did a dash of this and a pinch of that and blah, blah, blah. And for probably my first 10 videos, it just took me days and days because I had to figure out, okay, I know that I use, this much, what's that equate to? And I'm breaking out.
Throwing it on the scale.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And at home, I never did that before. So I learned before I do anything now, figure out the measurements, figure out the portions, and even if it's not exactly the way I would do it, it's a great guidepost. And at that point, if you like a little less of this, a little more of that, it would be much easier to figure out.
So how old are your kids now?
My kids are all big. I have, my oldest is 27.
Okay.
I have two that are soon to be 21, and my youngest is 16.
Okay.
And so don't get me wrong, it was done with great intentions, but it was also a bit of selfishness because they don't have a whole lot of interest in cooking now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm retired. I don't want them 10 years from now. Hey, Dad, how did you make that? Hey, look, man, I tried to show you all this years ago. Yeah. And now you're interrupting me, sitting out fishing or doing whatever. No, go look at YouTube. It has everything you need on there. Don't come bothering me now. Now that you've got 4 kids to feed and you want to know everything. So
this is my fishing time. You can't.
That's right.
Get in there. That's funny. So then besides trying to fish while you're teaching your kids recipes, what else are you doing these days besides cooking?
Well, I'm actually a travel agent during the day.
Okay.
That keeps me busy, especially now. Everyone is really ready to go somewhere other than here. And so that keeps me really busy. Booking and planning trips for people, and even just being an advocate, because there's so much that goes on now. Mm-hmm. And just even trying to guide people from making mistakes or letting them know, hey, it's probably not the best time to go this place or that place, because we get nonstop information. I mean, my inbox is flooded, by the minute with updates and information. So travel agents, we call ourselves travel advisors these days. We're coming back into favor because there's just so much unknown, and people are super busy these days. And I know for the last 20 or so years, people got so used to doing it themselves online. Well, there's a lot to consider these days, especially after the pandemic. And so we free up people's time. We have all the up-to-date information. So we're coming back into favor rapidly. So, yeah.
My mom actually did corporate travel agent business back in the 80s, into the 90s. And she said it was pretty stressful. Do you think with like the internet and everything, it's a little less stressful, or you think it's just about as stressful?
It's probably just as stressful, if not more, because it's kind of the same way people use WebMD. They look up something or they hear something and they suddenly know it all. And then, I'm trying to guide them and explain to them, hey, I understand what you saw, but as an agent, I know XYZ, and I'm telling you, ABC, and but Travelocity says blah, blah, blah. And it's like, good luck contacting them when you're sitting there stranded and holding your suitcases on a street corner. Like, and not to slam Travelocity, that's not what I'm saying. But dealing with a website versus dealing with a professional advisor is just not the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, with so many changes and everything changing as rapidly as it is, it can be quite stressful, especially, when you're dealing with people's travel plans, people's money, it can be stressful.
Is there any bucket list or dream destinations that you want to go?
That's a great question. There are. So I have not been to any country in Africa, and I want to see all of them. It's such a huge continent, and it's so diverse, and there's so many different countries and cultures. I would love to take, a year or two and travel across that continent and see it all. Um, I would really like to see Antarctica as well. Yeah. I don't know, something about all of that, nothing that appeals to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same reason people live in Alaska, there's a whole lot of people like going out in the Alaskan wilderness just because there is nothing. And there's even more flat nothing in Antarctica, but there's less trees in Antarctica, but still, I mean, it's the same idea. You kind of just want to go out there and see the peaceful and I'm from Ohio, so I've seen enough snow in my life, but
okay. Yeah.
We're up here in Ohio, and this year alone, I've seen enough snow for the next year and then some. So
yeah, I'm originally from Northwest Indiana, so I agree with you on the snow. I've seen enough. I'm in Austin now. I've been down here. It'll be 4 years in August, and
so now you just got the heat.
Yeah, and the thing about it though, like where I'm from, so I'm really from right outside of Chicago, about 15 minutes outside of Chicago proper. So it got just as hot and humid in Chicago as it does here in Austin, but you also got, those negative 50s and all of that stuff up there. So I was going to deal with the heat either way. So I might as well just be here, leave the snow behind, and, enjoy nice weather year round.
Heck yeah, right on.
And great barbecue.
Yeah, how would you compare the barbecue in the Midwest down south?
They are completely different. Completely different. Everything from cooking techniques to fuels to seasonings, even cuts of meat. There are cuts of meat I'm used to getting back home that people down here are looking at me like I have 3 heads if I ask for it. And vice versa. I can walk in the grocery store here and find brisket the same way you find hot dogs, back home.
Yeah.
Like if there's one brisket in the case, there's 100. It's same with beef ribs and things like that, and that kind of stuff. You would have to special order in from a butcher back home. Like you'll never find that stuff in the grocery store because people just don't cook it. Yeah. And I know, especially in the Chicago area. Until recently, most of that barbecue was done strictly over charcoal. Every now and again, you might get folks would throw a chunk of wood in there or something, but it was mainly charcoal. And a lot of the barbecue joints, especially in the Chicago area, they use what are called aquarium smokers. I don't know if you ever heard of those.
No, actually.
But it looks like an aquarium. It's like a glass, almost like a glass pyramid with metal sides, and then there's a pit area below where they load the charcoal in, and of course you have the grates. But you can see them, smoking and grilling the meat from the lobby of the restaurant because it's all glass, and so aquarium smokers are really popular. But a lot of the restaurants are slowly starting to get to the point where they're smoking with wood, and some of them are going to rolling big offsets and things like that. But yeah, major difference. But I think from region to region, it's just so different. If you go from Texas to the Carolinas or Memphis or Kansas City, they're all so different. And I think barbecue is like pizza. It's a very regional thing, and you like what you grew up on. And you're going to talk trash about anything that you didn't, but Texas barbecue is good. It really is. And it's plentiful. One thing I like, you can throw a rock in any direction and you can find good barbecue here. There's a gas station up the street from me, and some of the best barbecue you'll ever get out of a gas station. So I'll take it.
Wow. Up here, we're just lucky if the chicken tenders at the gas station are good.
Yeah.
To go get whole barbecue. I mean, dang.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, everything you can imagine, from brisket to turkey. They do whole ribeyes and, hot links. And I mean, you name it. And it's just
place to be.
Yeah. And it's anywhere you look. I mean, if you can't find barbecue within, a 10-minute drive, you're doing something wrong. Seriously.
So would you say that you have a, pardon, do you have a cook right now or a favorite thing to cook right now that's kind of your go-to?
I would say probably my most consistent and best thing would be ribs.
Okay.
Even my wife's like, hey, you've got that mastered. You could do that with your eyes closed, and they're always going to be fantastic. I worked on my rib rub for a few months, and I got it the way I wanted, and I actually wrote out the recipe. And so then I trained my son to prep my ribs, and he makes the rub now, and he'll make it a big batch at a time, and I use it, and then I'll just let him know, hey son, time for another batch, and he's like, no problem, and he gets it done. But yeah, and I think my ribs are really consistent. So I use a char griller Gravity 980.
Okay.
It's a gravity fed smoker with like a electronic controller, and the temps on that are just so consistent, and it allows you to put wood mixed in with the charcoal as well. And so you get great smoke. It's almost like a set it and forget it type thing. And with that smoker and my ribs and the way I put them together, yeah, I mean, like, I'd put them up against anybody. Best I've had personally.
Do you think you're gonna start? Everybody seems. I've been doing the spice review on our social media, and I feel like everybody's got a spice rub. I didn't know that, but do you think you're gonna start selling it?
I don't, because of that reason. It's so saturated. And don't be wrong, no knock on anyone who wants to give it a go. Like, hey, if you want to give it a try it. But I just think that it's so oversaturated. I mean, there are people who are just sitting at home and deciding, I'm going to put together a spice rub. And, to compete for shelf space or to try to put together a online store and do the marketing that it would take in order to actually make that profitable. See, I don't believe in going into business to lose money. First rule of business is don't lose money. And so if I do that, I'm going for it. And I want to get paid. And I just think that the market is so saturated now. And there's tons of great ones out there.
Yeah.
And so to try to go up and best them, it would take a lot. And I don't think I want to jump into that fight. It's like a mosh pit right now. It's complete chaos.
When we originally made our video asking people, okay, do you want to trade? You can send us a rub. I really didn't think that I would get that many. I didn't think that people would be willing to do it or take it's not a loss because we traded gloves and stuff for that. But then all of a sudden I just kept getting box after box after box. And I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we started that in the winter and I wasn't able to start cooking with any of it really. And then we got our char griller and I was like, okay, so now I can cook and the weather's getting nicer. And I'm looking at my cart that we made up outside and it's in the warehouse. And I was looking at it the other day and I was like, okay, I have all of these spices and I have to use, and I don't know what I'm going to do with all of these. Because some people would send us their spices and they're sending us these giant jars of them. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do with all of this?
Right.
Because then I turn around and there's another box of spices.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many, I might just start giving these away.
You might have to. And think about it. And you're only scratching the surface of people who have sent you stuff, right? So
like I said, last week, I thought I was finally done. I had no more sent to me. I thought, okay, we're done. I started doing the spice review on TikTok and somebody reached out to me. I think it was Roots Spice Company. They reached out to me and they're like, hey, can we send you the spices? And I was like, there's another one. Okay.
Well, I have a few more friends that I know who have their own, and there are a couple of companies that I have partnerships with. So I'll make sure that they send you some to Make your spice life
But
even more
I'm
miserable.
just gonna build a spice pyramid at this point or something. I have not figured out what I'm gonna do. We
Well,
actually we did a cook a while ago, and my boss, who makes the call and all that, told us, he's like, you know what, just take them. People were raving about the one. I think it was one of the DB 180 spices that we had that we had put on potatoes. Everyone was raving about them, and he was like, you know what, we're gonna divide this up. You all can take it home. So
there you go.
maybe that's what we'll start doing. Everyone's just gonna slowly build their spice cabinets at home now. So
Yeah, put it to use.
that's where I'm at. I mean, the hooks rub, the tacos one that he sent us, that one really blew my socks off. Because
Really?
I'm a Taco Bell seasoning person, but that one really just blew my socks off.
I'll have to find it.
That one was really good.
I'll have to find that.
There's a couple that just catch me off guard too, because they somehow put flavors in there that I wasn't expecting, or like I think we had one that had I think it was Blazing Bones. He has a chili lime, and the lime in that is so potent. And it's like just right after you taste it, you don't taste it at first. And then all of a sudden there's like this lingering lime.
And it's just
It's
pucker.
It's not pucker really. It's just, it's so interesting. Like, how do you do that? Like, how do these guys come up with some of this stuff?
They're like mad scientists when they get their hands on
Mhm.
everything that's available to them. I think once they really sit down with the co-packers and they get that ingredient list, and they're like, ooh, I can do this and I can do that.
Just sitting around one day drinking a beer, like, oh man, what can I make it into a rub?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the will it smoke thing. Like everyone's just sitting around. That's one thing that caught me off guard when we first got started. Just I was doing the TikTok primarily for the longest time, and I was like, okay, everyone just seems to be smoking whatever they want, and I didn't know you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
This is so. What would you say is the weirdest thing or the craziest idea you've had that worked?
That worked.
Yeah, because I feel like I come
Oh
up with new
boy.
ideas all the time, but I feel like other people just come up with them before I did somehow.
I'd say the craziest. I'm a bit of a purist,
Okay.
just because of my culinary school background, and I can hear that the old Frenchman, yelling at me, the guy who taught me. So I'm not super. I don't get super crazy. So I did a smoked meatloaf.
Okay.
That was probably a year and a half ago. And I kind of heard the idea of it, but I never really watched anyone do it or took any of their tips from. I never even really watched anyone's videos. I just kind of saw like the titles and the thumbnails. And so
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, I'll figure this out myself. And my biggest hiccup was, how am I going to get this from dripping through the grates? Because, meatloaf is so mixed and it's pretty loose. And I'm like, I don't want a bunch of filler in there because I don't want to be eating like a cake.
Yeah.
Like, so what can I do then? So I had the bright idea to stick it in the freezer before I put it on the smoker, just to firm it up.
Okay.
And not frozen solid, but just good and stiff. And that actually worked. It worked really well. And first time I did it, I, made a video about it. I had never attempted it before. So I was like, hopefully this doesn't fail.
This is either a blooper video or it's going to turn out great.
Correct. And it ended up turning out great. It had a beautiful smoke ring. And I had sent a few pictures to other barbecue guys that I know before I posted the video. And they were like, man, that brisket looks great. And I'm like, that ain't a brisket, man. Like, that's meatloaf. And they're like,
no.
what? Like, what are you talking about? I was like, dude, trust me. I was like, the video comes out tomorrow. Just watch it and see. And so that's probably it was weird for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to cooking meatloaf, of course, in a loaf and in an oven. And so, yeah, that one was kind of goofy. But I think I probably don't have a ton of things that don't work, only because of my training, and
Yeah.
I kind of know what won't work, what doesn't work.
You got the tools.
Tools and the knowledge and expertise. Like I said, 'cause I was a professional cook for a long time, and then I cooked so much over the years at the fire department. Like I say, I was there 20 years, and I mean, I must have cooked thousands of meals, and you just figure out after all that time what works and what doesn't. And don't worry, I'm all for experimentation. But at the same time, I know what I like, I know what I don't. And I know I'm not going to want, some of these crazy concoctions. There's some things people say, oh, just try it. No, like, you might like it. No, I'm pretty sure I won't like it. Like, I'm not 6. I've got a pretty experienced palate. I've traveled the world and tried all types of things, and that looks like trash. So yeah, so I guess I need to be a little more open, but as of now, there's some things I'm just not going to.
That's fair. Let's see, what have I come up with that? I mean, I haven't really, because at home I don't really have a charcoal grill. I think that should be in the works though, because I'm having a lot of fun with the char griller. So
which one do y'all have?
They sent us the Duo with an offset smoker attachment.
Oh, so you're in business. Yeah.
They really hooked us up. We weren't expecting that at all. So
they're a great company.
Yeah, they really are. We were pleasantly surprised to deal with them, because we were just getting our feet wet. We were like, oh, can we deal with other people? And then we were like, we'll just reach out to them. What are they gonna say? Like, So then we made a deal with them, and that it worked out.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm an ambassador for them.
Yeah.
And they really are really good people over there. And they try their best to do everything they can to support us, and they try their best to make a really good product. And that's one thing I said even before I was an ambassador for them. I bought a Smoking Champ when I first moved to Austin, which is kind of like their probably their midline offset.
Okay.
And at the time it was $200. And I would tell people, hey, for $200, you're not going to find a better grill. You won't find a more versatile grill, because you could actually use it as a very small grill with the firebox that has the grates in it. Then you had the whole cook chamber with the charcoal grate in there, so you can grill across that entire thing, or you can just burn and use it as an offset. And I'm like, man, that's just really versatile for $200. And I've pulled off some amazing cooks and held really steady temps. And their slogan is seriously hardworking grills. And they're telling the truth on that one. So shameless plug for Char Griller. But even if I wasn't an ambassador, I would and I did even before I was highly recommend it. But with that Duo, you can get a lot done with that thing. Yeah,
we've got a lot of big plans for it. I think once the weather finally gets stable around here, because it's the Midwest rainy season now. So it's the middle of snow in April. So we're having fun, but so longer cooks will come soon, I swear. But right now it's only like a 30-minute increment type thing. That's all I'm sure of in the weather.
As long as you can stand, right?
Yep. If I can see the rain cloud and it's not coming closer, it's time. So because my boss said if I get the grill rusty at all, because he's in love with it, if I get the grill rusty at all, I'm in trouble. So it can't stay outside.
Do you have a cover?
Yeah, they sent us a real nice cover for it too.
The covers they make are great, and they do the job.
Yeah, he just doesn't like keeping it. He likes everything clean. We've got a Blackstone here too that came from his house, and that thing is pristine. You would have no idea that he used it all summer last year. Like there's not a speck of grease on it. Like
Yeah, well, they perform better. There's that old myth that some people have that, you're not supposed to clean your grill. And, I've seen some pits that were just like,
Ew.
ooh, like, oh, that's flavor. No, sir, that's filth. That's not flavor. That's filth dripping down on your food, not flavor. Like, clean your grill, man.
All right. Well, we're getting a little bit close to time. So I do want to thank you for coming on today.
Sure.
Thanks for taking time out of the day. I don't know what you're up to with your fishing or if you're cooking or what you're up to, but
yeah, I'm working on some recipes today, and I'll be recording this weekend.
Oh, that's not a bad way to spend the weekend.
No, not at all.
I found that that's the best kind of content I like to make because you get to cook and then you get to eat. So yeah, you work, but then you get to eat.
Yeah, there's that payoff.
It works.
Oh, and I got my shipment in. I'm super happy.
So how you liking them so far?
Love them.
Perfect.
Love them. I wish we had something similar to this when I was a firefighter, because we did a lot of medical calls.
Okay.
And never fails when you have a really bad call. There's a lot of, fluids and things like that. You go to put gloves on and start ripping, start coming apart on you, or you can't even get them on. Your guys' gloves would have been amazing. So
they're not giving you any trouble at all?
Not at all.
All right.
They're great.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, my brother is a fire chief, so I'll be recommending that he look into y'all, because the gloves that we had, and I'm sure they're not much different now, they weren't the best. So
we also do have the more we actually do have the medical grade disposable gloves that are actually the nitrile like those, but they're actual like medical grade that you can use in businesses and different stuff like that.
Okay, awesome.
So he might want to look into those.
Yeah, I'll definitely let him know.
We also do have the if you're liking those, we actually do have the barbecue gloves as well that are the high heat resistant.
Oh, okay.
They're black and red. I can send you the link. We just got in the newer ones and they're really nice. I've been messing around with them outside on the char griller, and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, I need to check those out.
Yeah, I've been really happy with those so far. So I'm definitely going to start posting them more in our stuff, because we give the diesels a lot of love, but I feel like not a lot of people remember that we actually have barbecue gloves. So might have to plug those a little bit more.
Yeah, because you need both. You definitely need both.
I made the mistake the one time. I completely forgot, because I'm as green as can be with the smoking. But the one day I was like, oh, I'm gonna go reach in. I was like looking at that. I was like, you are gonna burn your hand. And you work at a glove company. And so
not a good look.
No, so I said, okay, I'm gonna go get a pair of barbecue gloves and add them to the cart, and we're gonna have to fix this real quick. So we aren't perfect. So,
no, I understand.
But I'm glad to hear the gloves are working for you.
Yes.
You can use the code, anyone who's out there listening to this as well. We do have the code barbecue 15 running right now for the month of April, 15% off if you use that code. So if you like the gloves enough, you want to keep stock up or something, that code's there if you want it, or anybody who's out there listening, you can have that too. Otherwise, do you have anything else to add before we wrap up here?
No, I just really appreciate you having me on, and it's been really eye-opening, that because when you think of gloves, it's like, especially I use them for so long, a glove's a glove, but you guys are doing some game-changing stuff, and I'm really liking what you're doing. So keep up the good work, and I'll keep pushing you guys to people I know in the barbecue community, because you guys really do have fantastic stuff. And
appreciate that.
I appreciate y'all.
All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for watching the Glove Love podcast and listening. So if you want to check out Mr. Brandon's work, you can always look him up. BKC Cooks, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, TikToks, everywhere. Just Google the man. And we'll see you guys next time.
Take care.
All right, end it. Keep moving it.